We're going to start here. I think, let me think. So we got Browns or, we'll start with the Browns. I'll have Tom see what he says.
Oh, the Browns.
I know he's heard something
Get ready
about
for this one.
Oh, the Dak Prescott trade. Yeah.
I got a pretty darn good source within the Browns organization. Couple. I heard since our last show that part of the reason Myles Garrett was so willing to sign this extension for contract, money.
That's it.
The Browns are negotiating as we speak with the Dallas Cowboys for a trade for Dak Prescott. And Garrett got all giddy about it. Why, I don't know. We're not going anywhere with Prescott. Even if they pull it off. Newsom's part of it. And draft picks. Now, Prescott has a hamstring injury as we speak, and he may not be ready for the start of training camp. But this comes from a couple of different sources. And take it for what it's worth. If it does come about, remember where you heard it first.
All right, Tommy. Thoughts?
Well,
real quick. Is this what we're looking at? It wouldn't happen today if it was going to happen. They have to see if Shedeur Sanders doesn't go number one. Is that not what they're waiting on? Is if Cam Ward goes one, Browns are sitting in the 2 spot. Now Jerry Jones actually makes the move that fans have been wanting him to make for years and years and years and years and years and years. Dion just said 2 or 3 days ago, coaching Cowboys without my son wasn't what I was going to do. If he was there, I might have that I would have done that. So is this the move, or is this just all more conjecture? And if it is conjecture, why would the Browns be sending out those messages, Tom, to their sources?
Okay, number one, you've already got a contract for a quarterback who doesn't play that you can't afford, so you're going to take on that. He's got a similar contract.
Remember, Tom. The Cowboys have $50 million in space that they didn't use in their signings.
So
they restructured everyone's contract.
Okay, well, I wasn't allowed to finish, but what I was going to say was, unless the Cowboys agree to pay a lot of his salary, or they trade Watson as part of that bundle and say, hey, we'll give you the number 2 and Watson for Prescott, because you have to get that contract off your books.
Yeah.
Or Dallas would have to say, okay, we're going to send you Dak Prescott and pay 40 of his whatever $50 million they gave him. You'd have to do it that way. So you've got to do something very creative to make that money work. Now, what Kevin is saying is, since they have the $50 million in cap space, they can do that. Yeah. We're just going to pay to get rid of him. So I don't know if that, but that's got to be part of it. Either they're going to pay Prescott, or we're going to swap and you're going to pay Watson, because either way, Cleveland cannot absorb that contract after what they've paid Garrett, and they've got this on the books. They just can't.
It's got to be a first and third.
Well, I don't know if they give him. I don't know if they give him a third too.
You talked to them about.
But they can't take the.
If it's the Dallas,
I didn't know that.
Nothing else.
No, I didn't know that. But that's what me and Calvin were talking about when I first come in, and he said like a first and a third is what he's heard.
For what? For Dak?
Mm.
Well, that's different though. If you're doing the 2 pick, it's the 2 pick and Watson. It ain't the first and third. It's a 2 pick. You're getting Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson.
Because you talked about that was the whole thing about getting rid of Garrett, or when they were having the issues with Garrett, was basically trying to unload him, or I forget what we talked about, but that's going to be the price they pay.
Well, here's your issue. Russell Wilson signed with the Giants, so that's done.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers signed with the Steelers, that's done.
He has signed with the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then you had who's the guy? I was one. It's not Kate. Who's the guy from Minnesota?
Darnold.
No,
J.J. McCarthy.
No. The guy that was
Kirk Cousins.
Atlanta,
Kirk
Cousins. So, okay, we're going to get Cousins on the vet minimum because Atlanta's going to cut him, and then they didn't. So now you got to trade for him. You know what I mean? And that's another. You got to work out the money that way too. So Cleveland is in, for lack of better words, quarterback hell right now. I mean, Dak Prescott would be definitely a huge upgrade over whatever they got a Kenny Pickett. I mean, DTR's gone. They traded him. Jameis is gone. He's with the Giants. So, who's in the quarterback room? Kenny Pickett?
I assume if they don't get a veteran, they're going to draft in second rounder. I would definitely go, Abdul or Hunter, and then a quarterback in the second round.
I would say that Will Howard would be available in the second or third round. He's a hometown hero, so now let's go ahead and get him. Or they could.
I like
get
the Dart kid.
Dart. I was going to say
got a good arm.
Dart's pretty good. Yeah, they're worth taking a chance on. So we'll see what they do. But right now, their quarterback situation is horrible.
Everything I'm reading right now is the offer looks like the terms have been agreed upon. Rodgers is trying to figure out whether he wants to play next year. So I don't think it's finalized yet.
Did he
I
not?
like-
For him to go to the Steelers.
I thought he signed.
What the offensive lineman said. Pittsburgh, they even come on there. Pittsburgh has a statue. We don't need you. You need us.
That was their defensive lineman.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
Cam
yeah.
Hayward.
Well, yeah, he's
You
right.
know, and I agree with every
Yeah.
bit of that.
Well, he's like, if you want to come play, come play.
That's great.
If you're not,
If
if
you
not,
don't-
But, that's a lot of big talking, though, for him to say that,
when you don't have a
considering
quarterback,
they haven't done crap since Roethlisberger retired.
I ain't gonna
So-
say they haven't done crap. I mean, Tomlin's not had a losing record since he's been there.
They've been to as many AFC Championship games as Dallas has. So, speaking of Dallas, Terry, every quarterback in the NFC East now has been to an NFC Championship game,
except
except Dak Prescott. Everyone, Tom.
Well, I mean,
All right,
he'd be
true or false?
He'd be leaps and bounds better than anything we got right now.
right.
True or false? Give him an offseason to get in shape. Tony Romo could come out of retirement and play better than Dak Prescott right now.
No.
No.
You're having to think about it at least.
No. There's no way.
No, if
He
anybody,
knows
if,
better than
no, if
that.
anybody has time to
Get in shape.
get in shape,
Yeah,
I
that's-
believe all the guys could give a 1 year run, and it's not even about that. It's Dan Marino can still throw a football 70 yards. He can't get hit.
Yeah.
He can't run. All right, this guy. Anybody want to guess his weight? 6'6", defensive tackle Desmond Watson of Florida has weighed in at his pro day. Anyone want to guess?
400.
I'm gonna say 404.
Golly, that's higher than I was going to guess. But
Chip.
Probably 364.
I'd bet 365.
464
Holy
pounds.
smoke. He's 100 pounds bigger than I thought.
464 pounds. For a 5'9" 460 pounds, 5'9" 40.
Gracious.
Shouldn't he be considered for the number one pick alone, Terry? That's way bigger than Gilbert Brown was, and he had a pretty good career just being big.
How big was Ted Washington?
That's another big fella too, as well.
And he was 375. Ted Washington was 3. That dude's almost 100 pounds bigger than Ted Washington.
All right, here we go. Don't look, Chip. Don't
Not
look,
looking,
Chip.
not looking.
The most receiving touchdowns by college in NFL history.
Receiving touchdowns?
Most receiving touchdowns by college in NFL history. I have the top 10 in front of me.
LSU.
I'll let you guess. You hit one. LSU is 4.
Ohio
Florida.
State.
Ohio State is number 1.
Good job.
Florida, 549. Ohio State, I'll show you guys the numbers. By far have 129 more touchdowns
Oh, wow.
in second place. USC at 704 to 575. Then Miami, LSU, Florida. Tennessee, Michigan State, Michigan, Florida State, and Clemson. You could argue Ohio State, wide receiver U. What you can't argue about Ohio State is the quarterbacks. They ain't on the list of top 10 in the NFL. How about your all-time quarterbacks list? Purdue is your number 1 all-time passing touchdowns. Then Cal, Michigan, USC, Stanford, Notre Dame is 6th. Oregon, Washington, Terry's NC State Wolfpack are number 9 in all-time passing quarterbacks over Alabama at number 10. Terry's gonna have fun with that stat for this week. I know he knows at least one Alabama fan he can brag on that about.
Can you think of Purdue quarterbacks from Purdue?
I just got Breeze. Other than that, I can't remember. Who else? Terry's from went to Purdue. I know there's at least
That's a
one
good
more
question.
famous, one or two more famous.
Bob Greasy and
oh, gosh.
Lynn Dawson.
Oh, a lot of them then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the three big ones: Breeze, Greasy, and Lynn Dawson.
Okay.
Kyle Orton.
Kyle Orton. Cal. Who's Cal? Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. Ron.
And who else? Is all those his?
No.
He don't have 1,100.
Montana was Notre Dame.
Correct.
Okay.
Let's see.
But you could take, well, I don't know. You'd have to go way back. States has
Oh.
some good quarterbacks.
Well, no, that's not right. Oh, that's they're saying from the state.
All right. Who's your rushing touchdown leaders?
Ohio State's got to be on that list.
They're seventh.
Florida.
Florida is sixth. Terry was a good guess with Emmitt Smith in that one.
Maybe Wisconsin. Were they on that
No.
list?
Or you got to think of rushing.
ACC school on the top of the list.
ACC. School.
Florida State.
No.
Clemson.
No.
Ooh.
Okay. A heritage ACC school.
I mean,
well,
they've been there for 35 years. How long is his heritage?
Yeah.
Miami they've been there what 30
They've
years?
not been in the ACC 35.
When did they
years.
come?
They came in like mid 2000s.
At least 25, right?
No, it wasn't mid 2000s. It was in the 90s.
I thought it was late 90s, wasn't it?
It was. I was in college when they
98,
were.
99, somewhere right in there.
I think it was earlier than
The
that.
University of Miami officially joined the Atlantic Coast Conference July 1st, 2004. Thank you very much.
2004.
No, I'm thinking Florida State.
Yes, FSU. Yeah.
Well, if you've been 2 decades, I'll give you as a ACC.
you're right.
Definitely an ACC school. If Stanford's an ACC, I forgot about Stanford being an ACC school.
They're more of an ACC school than Cal and Stanford right now.
At least they're on the Atlantic coast.
At least they're actually Atlantic.
I don't have much football, just a couple of fun things like this. This is how about Michael Johnson trying to explain the difference?
And say, I can get you. What do you think, Michael Johnson?
I think we're at a point, Rich, now where,
So this is Michael Johnson, former, of course, gold medalist, talking about Tyreek Hill saying he could beat the Olympic
let's
sprinters.
go back to Tyson and Paul, right? That fight,
Wow, that's your analogy?
Yes, the thing is, so think about it, right? They tried and failed to make that some sort of receiver and run routes like Tyreek and score a touchdown. 20th, 30th, not a race. Tyreek can't beat the 20th, 30th ranked 100-meter runner in the world. These are no more so than a track athlete who's fast can't go over and play receiver and run routes like Tyreek and score touchdowns. It just doesn't happen. Now, if you create some sort of special exhibition where you can even it out a little bit, because Tyreek is quick. If it's about quickness, then it might be compelling. But this is just, come on, Rich, we all know this is just entertainment, man. It's just entertainment. This is not real sport.
Fast is fast. Either you're fast or you're not fast,
That
right?
is true.
Like,
That
that's
is
the way
true. But just like, you're fast or you're fast, but that doesn't mean that you can be a world-class sprinter. Sprinting is different than just being fast. There's a whole lot that's happening in that race to actually run fast and get your fastest time and beat other people. You still got to race other people. How many times has Tyreek raced? Anyone?
Lyles beats Tyreek by how much?
Over 100?
Yeah.
10 meters.
10 meters.
I'm going to say 10. 10 meters. He's the fastest man in the world.
I'm aware of that.
No, he's
Yeah.
not.
Tyreek is not one of the fastest people in the world. He's one of the fastest football players, but he's not one of the fastest people in the world.
That would be a great moment.
Terry,
Rich Eisen's such a gaslighter, man. I can't.
comments on Michael Johnson being right on the sprinting thing. So
I
I'm
agree.
going to say this real quick. Just any type of experience that I have as far as like, what he's talking about, quickness, being on the football field, someone in front of you. I didn't think that there was anyone that would get to a corner and beat me or whatever. Mario Dye proved that wrong. Varsity Judy put 300 yards rushing on us one time. And then you race some people in the 100 meters, Terry, and you're like, well, I played basketball with them. I played football with them. And they beat you by 15 meters. And you're sitting there like, oh, my gosh. And then you run with guys. Well, I'll run a mile with them. And they beat you by a quarter of a lap because they got longer legs than you, Chip. They're 6'2", whatever. So there's different things that what he's talking about as far as that leads to winning. I know, you're a long distance runner. But at App, we had a guy named Ernest Wiggins up there. He was a world-class sprinter. He got on the football. Terry, you saw him in the streets. You wouldn't want to touch him, fight him, anything. He looks like the biggest, baddest dude you've ever seen. All anybody ever said was he walked on the football field, got smoked one time as a kick returner, and he never walked back out there again. Yep. And I know the guy got like I said, I've talked to him not on the track, whatever, and hung out with him, whatever. But it's not the same. But
And that's not to diminish his ability as a sprinter.
No, but it is different as far as that goes. Terry, you want to explain any? I don't know that much about track as far as, and maybe Chip can too, as far as to explain to them how running
Chip
different.
would know more about that
how
than I
running
do.
different
I'm
sprinting
just
than it
saying,
is just
though,
racing some way.
When I think about distance runners, and I think of when Dallas had Bob Hayes, if you just had a flat route, Bob Hayes go get it. You know what I'm saying? And if he's just going from spot to spot, Bob Hayes was one of the fastest guys out there. And as a matter of fact, probably was the fastest NFL guy that was out there. But I do agree with what he's saying. Tyreek Hill, as far as stopping, moving, going, probably faster than anybody. But when you just put them side by side and say, we're going to go 100, 110, I don't think he can beat a guy who races.
That's I would agree with pretty much everything you said, Terry. With Tyreek Hill, it's not just, and where I disagree with Rich Eisen, it's not just fast as fast. You're talking about different aspects. His quickness, his agility, his ability to stop on a dime, start again, and pretty much be the same speed. Barry Sanders was famous for that. That's not the same thing. Michael Johnson, I know it just looks like they're just running. He is right. There's a lot that has to go into technique. I mean, you put a lot of effort, a lot of practice into your stride length, into the number of strides. Hurdlers count the number of strides they take between hurdles.
Correct.
Sprinters, I don't know if they go to that length for over 100 meters, but starting out,
I bet they know how many steps it takes.
I bet they have a good estimate. Starting out of the blocks, getting a good leap out of the blocks, all these sorts of things. 10 meters, is close to an insult to Tyreek Hill. I wouldn't go that extreme. I think that was Michael Johnson just trying to defend his profession, his former profession. It's totally
how many
different.
would Michael Johnson beat Tyreek in a 200?
What's that?
How many would Michael Johnson beat Tyreek?
Now
in
you're
a
starting to get
200?
about 10 meters or at least more. I
It'd
mean,
be more than that because Tyreek ain't never run no more than 100 yards.
If
200 meters instead.
It depends on if
That's
Tyreek.
double.
Yeah, it depends on if Tyreek could keep up the speed for
So
up to 200
Asante
meters.
Samuel this week, Terry's come out and said he is as good or better than Deion Sanders ever was at cornerback. He brought up the stats, and this is these kids and their stats, and they were pretty much the same. And what the kids don't understand is they're not throwing to that side of the field. Now here's Deion's comments with Skip Bayless this week.
I just don't think it's fair to Travis to begin to compare him to the Deion I had the privilege of watching, because I'm talking about
it ain't fair
the greatest. Hey, we're talking about the greatest lockdown cover corner ever, where you could take a Jerry Rice or a Michael Irvin, just take them away.
It's not fair, Skip. What is not fair? And I had some cats from yesterday.
All right, this is one of the greatest quotes ever.
Always challenging me or comparing themselves to me. And I would look in the camera and tell them this, man, stop comparing a monument to a darn moment. They had moments. Perfect. I'm a darn monument, man.
Monument. That's the God's truth.
Yes.
That's what we try to tell these kids about this MJ and Deion and some of these people and Secretariat.
The difference.
Yeah,
the difference.
that's right.
The one